Zuckerberg out of the doghouse. Let's find out why with our John Marino. Good to see you, John, as always. So Mark Zuckerberg had this long-awaited speech last afternoon, and guess what? He spoke. Investors are happy. Stock's actually up significantly today.
Yep, no, he gave them the really good news that they probably needed to hear, that Facebook's not going to make the major status pivot and go and try and be a smartphone company now that they've opted to not do any kind of a smartphone move. It's a big move for them. They may not now be buying Opera Software, the company that they were once rumored to be looking into right after having gone public. Obviously, the stock's been a really big disappointment, but investors right now are back on board.
And they're on board in part because they're believing the strategy of getting into mobile. What makes sense for Facebook, John, in terms of moving into mobile? Is it going to be through an acquisition of a name we know?
Probably not. I think, smaller deals are going to be the way of Facebook. After he did the big Instagram deal for what was then $1 billion, Mark Zuckerberg said, we're not going to be doing deals this size very often. It hasn't really been a part of their plan historically. But if they're going to be getting onto a mobile platform, that could be either Android would be one really popular move, or obviously the other one, company you've probably heard of, Apple.
Absolutely. We're going to get to that in a moment. First, let's look at the Zuckulator. Always good to see how rich this guy is. $10 billion plus. Looking better there, right? I mean, he's only down some $9 billion from the IPO. You talked about Apple. Guess what we're waiting for? We're going to take a look at this. The countdown is underway. Less than an hour to go until we get the official announcement on iPhone 5.
Have you seen the lines outside? People can't wait for the iPhone 5 to be coming out. Obviously, this is a company that really should continue to make smartphones, unlike Facebook. The move for them is going to be a pretty significant one. A few notes here. Their stock has typically jumped after big product announcements coming out. It's obviously widely expected. One damper, I guess, on the parade is that Siri's co-creator is leaving the company.
All right, so we'll wait and see. Obviously, it is a big deal. The stock's been running up in anticipation of that. And there's some rumors out there, bigger screen maybe, so we'll find out shortly. Let's go to the hot spot. We've got one other tech stock to talk about today, Yahoo. Interesting, right? I guess it's going to come into a pile of cash.
Huge pile of cash. They're getting out of their position in Alibaba, which is now, I guess, going to be maybe more of a competitor of theirs overseas. They're still going to have 50% of their stock, though, so there's still more room for liquidity. However, it remains to be seen what Marissa Mayer is going to do with the new money as the new CEO. Is she going to pursue an M&A strategy? Is she going to look to do maybe smaller deals? Could they even buy AOL?
Wow. What does AOL do for them?
AOL would probably bring together a huge base of users that they would be more easily able to monetize, kind of like what Facebook needs to do.
All right, away from tech just for a moment to talk about Ford. It's not a stock that's really moving that much, but we might be hearing about a new CEO at Ford. The board's going to be meeting soon. Alan Mulally, who's been the CEO credited with turning the company around, is also 67. So there are a couple of reports that we'll get a name soon. One name surfacing, Mark Fields. Now, he's an interesting guy. He's very dynamic, upbeat. I've spoken with both of these men a couple of times in interviews. He runs North and South America in terms of operations, and sales have been decent there. The problem's going to be Europe. What can he do there? That's the trouble spot for Ford. So maybe an announcement in the next couple of days. We got a big announcement today on the PE front, little medical company with some big implications. Yeah,
Medaware is going private thanks to Thoma Bravo, paying the big 40% premium. We've seen the suggestion that maybe companies like EA could get a 40% premium out of private equity, but realistically what they want to do is get into the healthcare space. That's what they've been doing since the United States Supreme Court approved the Affordable Care Act. Thanks to this now, there's been PE increasingly diving into the space, a lot more deals among strategics as well. Healthcare IT is working specifically for private equity because it's that much disconnected from federal reimbursement, which is obviously going to be a huge issue going forward as we implement ACA.
Is that going to be one of the top sectors for PE the rest of the year, healthcare?
Absolutely, I think so.
All right, let's walk over, take a look what's happening on Wall Street. Pretty decent day. I mean, look, stocks are just sort of drifting up here. In focus will be what happens to shore up the economy, not just here, but in Europe, right?
Yep. Obviously, the German decision this morning from their court was huge, and we're still waiting on the Fed on our side.
Yeah, we got to wait. It's a two-day meeting, so we can speculate about what happens today. We'll get the word tomorrow. A lot of possibilities there, maybe some more bond buying. A lot of strategists think that's where it's going. We might also get a hint of how low interest rates will stay. Big banks moving higher in anticipation of perhaps some good news on that.
Absolutely, it's going to be a big deal for them. Obviously, deal finance is going to be connected to what the Fed's decision on the interest rate is going to be. It means a big deal again for private equity firms.
All right, John Marino, great to talk to you as always. And for more headlines, follow us on Twitter at Reuters Insider. Also, check out our Reuters YouTube TV channel, Reuters.com/Reuters TV. I'm Rhonda Schaffler. This is Reuters.